computer. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor, here back at you again with another live stream. Today, I'm going to talk about sales. Now, you probably noticed I stopped putting in nice theme music before every live stream because, well, I kept getting in trouble for it. So I stopped putting in theme music. And I've been running out of time lately. I like to keep these 30 minutes or less. So that way you guys can get the info, take that info, use it, get on with the rest of your lives, make some more money, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, let's make sure you guys can see me and hear me okay. Last week, I know I had some technical difficulties. The replay was fine because I always make sure to record everything and I keep everything nice and handled on my end. But Facebook had some issues. So let me know if you can hear me, you can see me okay. Let me know if everything sounds good and all that. Other than that, please ask your questions as I go through this, or even after the replay. I'll always go back. I'll look at every comment. I answer everything that I can. And you guys also give me ideas for what other topics that you guys want me to talk about in the future. So the more you guys participate, the more I can give to you guys. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about what the shit I've been doing because that's what I know. And that's what's going on in my mind. So it's either what I've been going through or the people who are investing with me as I show them this industry, as I show them these skills. I'm going to talk about that. But in general, it's your group. You guys let me know what you guys need from me, and I'm here to deliver. With that said, today, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about sales. So when we're talking about sales here, I've noticed that a lot of people don't necessarily want to give away their secret sauce, so to speak. And I'm not sure why they don't want to do that because it's not like if they share how to sell, they lose sales. And there's so much land out there and there's so much variety out there that if you're doing the right thing and you're building the right type of following, and I'm not saying you got to be some social media influencer or anything like that, as long as you're going out there and every day you're putting in a little bit of work to further your reach, to make sure that what you're putting out there is effective and in making adjustments if it's not, you're going to make sales every day. But the key is number one, that consistency. And number two, making sure you're making the correct adjustments using the feedback that you are given. So I got two stories I want to share with you guys. One is one of my favorite. So I think it was 2018. And I was actually looking to buy some land in Nevada. And in that conversation I had with an elderly old woman, she was like, "Hey, I have some land in California as well. Would you mind buying that one as well?" I'm like, "Oh, I never bought land in California. I don't." Yeah, sure. I want to buy any vacant land. So let me see what's going on. Did a little bit of due diligence, like a quick. And, even with my limited understanding, I knew the lot wasn't worth much, but I didn't do a lot of due diligence. So I'm like, "Hey, look, I can give you about $500 for it. How's that?" She's like, "All right, cool." So she threw it in. I bought the land in Nevada and I bought the land in California. Now, the Nevada land sold, it was pretty quick. Well, I don't know how quick it was for me back then, but quick back then was maybe like 2 months. Quick these days is a couple hours, but that's a different story. But when it came to sell the California property, I learned something. See, in Lake County, California, there's a bunch of lots. They call them paper lots. And those paper lots, you can't really build on them. You can't do much with them. I didn't know that when I bought the property, but I learned it soon after. So I was panicking. I'm like, "Oh shit, what am I going to do? How am I going to sell this lot? Ain't no one going to want this." And if you look up Lake County, you look up paper lots, you're going to see a couple of news stories talking about this phenomenon and how people keep buying and selling lots that are useless. And then because they find out they're useless, people try to sell them to somebody else and so on and so forth. So I'm like, "Shit, did I just get suckered?" I'm like, "Well, I don't think this old lady knew, but I didn't do my research. It's all my fault." Anyways, I'm going through my normal my normal channels of selling at that time, and it took a while. I think I had it on Craigslist for a while, and I didn't do much else. And eventually, I did buy or find someone to buy the property. The issue was this person was a felon. They didn't have any income. While they were trying to get their life back on track, they just weren't there yet. So even though I agreed to sell to them on terms, meaning monthly payments, they rarely had the money. Now, mind you, I was so desperate to sell this property, I drove from my house 2.5 hours to meet this guy, a felon, to sign paperwork because he was convinced doing anything online made it illegitimate. Doesn't make any sense. I knew it back then, but desperation and naivete caused me to do some stupid ass shit. I mean, this dude wasn't dangerous. I wasn't worried about it. Me, the wife, and my son. Shit, how old was he at the time? He was probably like 2 or something. We drove. Obviously, they went elsewhere as I, had this paperwork signed that I printed out. So they weren't, involved. But after that drive, I'm like, all right, well, while I'm here, maybe I can go visit this lot, see what it's like, and take some live pictures in case this guy flakes, which I feel he will. So I try to find a lot, man. And if you look on Google, you look on Waze, it says that these are streets and roads. Man, these motherfuckers were trails that are about this wide. What is this, like a foot of in width? They're all over the place, all over the countryside, all over this mountain. I had no idea where I was. But long story short, I never found a damn property. I got some great photos of lake, Clear Lake, and some the surrounding scenery as I was going up the mountain. Never found it. Couldn't find it at all. I got a lot of weird looks as I was trying to get to the mountain, as I was going past people's property that most, a lot of people don't, or those folks didn't get a lot of visitors. But damn, it really cemented in my mind. I gotta mess with this dude, man, because if I don't, I don't know who's gonna buy this shit. So for a year and a half or so, him not making payments, trying his best, give me a couple of dollars here or there. I'm like, man, we can't, it's been 4 or 5 months now. So it's been a year and a half. And the last payment I've had was like 4 or 5 months ago. I'm like, all right, this got to change. And I'm like, dude, sorry, man. I got to end this with, I mean, like I've given you more than enough chances. Our contract goes for, if you don't pay after like 30 days, it's over. It's been like 120 days. We're done. He's like, yeah, I get it. So I'm like, all right, well, what am I going to do? I was the only guy that would buy it. I learned a couple of tricks. I'm gonna share with you soon. I put it up for sale. 2 days later, it is sold in cash, 2,000 bucks. Turns out the person who bought it actually knows the person who I was trying to sell to in the past. And they know about the lot. The locals know the area. They know about paper lots and they don't give a damn. They'll do what the hell they want to do because it's their land. And so, long story short, all land sales, even land that you think nobody wants, even if it's a toxic waste dump and is an ancient Indian burial ground, someone's going to buy the shit. They have their reasons for it. Not everybody's going to look to build their dream house. Some people want to invest in land because they think it's going to hold value. Some people have other plans where the things that would turn away the typical buyer is actually an attractive thing to that person in question. As long as you have a couple of things that I'm about to go over, you have a great chance of selling it. And if you do this right, you're not going to be holding on to property for months and months and months the way I used to. You're going to sell this shit in a couple of weeks. It doesn't take long to sell property when you do things right and the things I'm going to talk about. All right. So, first off, does that sound good to you? Whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, let me know if this is something that you think you can get value from. Ask your questions. Let me check the room real quick. Let's see what's going on in here. Um, Hopefully this doesn't die out like it did last time. And I can't tell what's happening, so I will have to just assume that you guys are all with me. Um, so yeah, all right. So as we go into this, let me remind you. All right, you bought property. If you use my system, you bought it at a great discount. Therefore, you have a valuable resource that many people want. This ain't like selling no bullshit doodads on the internet. You're selling property. They're selling land. They're not making any more of it. Well, I guess in Hawaii, volcanoes and shit like that. But you know what I mean. Land is limited. Land is scarce, but people can always see the intrinsic value of land. Always. People won't always see the valuable coffee mug. It's just a commodity. If I don't get your mug, I'll get their mug. It doesn't matter to me. But land is a little bit different. Locations and all that, it all plays a role in that. So you don't ever forget that. Don't ever think you have something that is useless or worthless. You always will have something that is valuable. Again, that's if you use my system to make sure you're buying it for pennies on the dollar. If you're overpaying, well, all bets are off. It may not be useless, but you may not get the return on investment that you're expecting, at least not quickly. Maybe in 30 years, who knows what could happen, but it is what it is. All right. With that said, I'll tell you this: beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So these are other prerequisites I want you to understand. So when you're selling, you wash away that funk of desperation and neediness, because that's a big reason why a lot of people don't make sales now. All right. So the good thing about this is they say every pig has a barn. So as I mentioned, somebody who, toxic waste dump may not be interesting to most people, but there's one person who wants that for their own reasons. I'm letting you know, no matter what, people want it. Um, Quick story, I've heard about an investor who bought this mud pit, didn't know it was a mud pit, felt like no one's going to buy it. Somebody came along like, I really want that property. He's like, well, why do you want it? Turns out this guy was an avid motocross rider. Him and his buddies ride dirt bikes, ATVs, and the like. So it was perfect for what they wanted. The original buyer or seller or that original land investor was thinking, oh man, no one's going to want to build a house out here. No one's going to want to use it for hiking. But a motocross guy's like, oh, this is perfect for me. So he happily bought that property. Again, there's a pig for every barn, or every barn there's a pig. All right. Um, yeah, cool, cool. Looking at my notes. All right. With that said, make sure you are forgetting your emotions. To re-emphasize what I just spoke about, it's not about you. This is about them. This is about the buyer. So you got to make sure that we take ourselves out of the equation because we don't know what people will want property for. We can make assumptions. We can kind of make judgments, but we don't really know until that buyer presents themselves like, "Hey, I want this property," and it's not us to judge. It's not on us to judge. It's like, "Hey, as long as you're doing things legally, I don't care what you do. It is yours." So again, you never make assumptions. Again, if you got it for a good price, never worry about selling for a great price. Sometimes I sell property at less than I can because I'd rather get a quick sale. Now, so for example, if I buy a property for 500 bucks, I'm like, you know what? I can probably get $3,000 for this property. And then I end up not, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until someone, that right buyer that's willing to pay $3,000 for that property, comes along. Well, then how much time did I waste in that process? How much frustration did I give myself and anxiety? Well, as opposed to selling for 3,000, what if I sold it for 2,000? Yeah, it's a big discount for what I technically could get or sell the property for, but I'm still making 4 times the money if I buy it for 500. So that's the point. Never be caught up in your ROI and margins, like percentage wise. No one gives a shit. What matters is how much revenue are you pulling in, right? I'd rather take all of 2,000 than nothing of 3,000, or baby trickle in $100 a down, $100 a month bullshit until someone makes $3,000 worth of payments. All right. Always take what is available now so you can make more deals in the future, not just the same type of deals, but larger and larger deals. Um, and that brings me to my next point. You may have your own insecurities and anxiety about the property, but so do other people who aren't serious about buying. There will be people who come to you and they will say, "Hey, I want the property." They check it out, and there's something about the property that they really don't like, and it freaks them out. And it's very easy to let their concerns become your concerns. But that's the wrong play. If you do that, you're screwed. Because just because this person is worried about that, it doesn't mean that the next person is going to be worried about it. It happens so often where people say, "Hey, I don't know if I want this property anymore. It's in a weird part of that town. It doesn't have this, it doesn't do that." And I'm like, "Oh, damn. Okay, well, thank you." And I wish him well, because I know the next person that comes along is not going to have those concerns. I used to take on those fears. I used to be worried about it. And then that would make me, or that would cause me to make rash decisions about pricing and all that, and what type of buyers I'm going to deal with. But after I let that shit go, I realized that everybody's different. It's the same things I'm talking about over and over again. They just hit in different ways. Everybody's different. They all got their own reasons for buying and selling. So I let that be the lesson. Everybody's different. One person's fears is not going to be the same for somebody else, right? Even if it's 2 or 3 people have the same concern, somebody's not going to care. One person who doesn't really care, maybe the neighbor doesn't. We'll talk more about that soon. All right. And one last thing, don't forget, now you have the property, not the prospect. You are in control. You're the one with the valuable asset, not them. Do not let them dictate the terms or steer the conversation in ways you don't want to go. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying be inflexible. I'm not saying be a dick. I'm saying that always remember, don't make bad business decisions because other people are just basically asking you to make bad business decisions. All right. Keep your business, keep your money, keep your family, and everybody that you're going to support in this business front of mind, to make sure you're doing something that's going to benefit the business, but that's also fair to the person that's buying from you. If you keep that in mind, you're going to be good. Now, here are the 3 things. Write this down. 3 things that you're going to need to do to continuously make sales every day in no particular order. All right. First off, the first thing you'll have to do with every prospect, whether they're ready to buy now or they're just kind of kicking the tires a little bit and trying to see, well, is land ownership right for me? You have to ease their fears. Now, here's why. Most people you're going to come across are not people that know you. Now, unless you're a big fancy celebrity or you're an influencer or something with a giant following, you're going to have to build that trust and rapport. You're going to have to ease their fears of buying something online that they're not used to buying online. Now, sure, there's going to be plenty of people out there who have bought property from other land investors or bought things online that's, significant. So they're going to be a lot more comfortable doing this. But even those folks, they don't know you. They have to get to know you. So you got to ease their fears. Now, depending on where you are or where they are in that buyer's journey and where you guys are in that relationship, will dictate how that looks. So what I mean is, let's think about where they are in that journey and see how you can accommodate and help them get to that next step. Now, if they're just one of those types of people who are just kind of kicking the tires, like, oh, wow, there's property in my area that's affordable. I had no idea. That sounds interesting. I'm tired of living here. Or maybe I can build a house on there or a mobile home, or, the dreams get wilder and bigger. They're like, okay, great. Well, understand. All right, well, they're excited, but they're nervous. They've never thought about this before. They didn't realize property was accessible to them. So they're probably going to look for more information, a little bit more hand holding about like what it means to buy property. What's that process looks like, at least what it looks like for you and your business. What does it take for them to become the owner of that property? And how hard is it to do that? Right. So that information is going to be very general. Maybe you make a video or two or have a blog page or just something that you can easily show people. Here is how the process works. Also, you can show them, hey, you were interested in this property, this particular, 123 Main Street. Well, I made a one-page website or a single-page web page about that property so you can get a little bit more details. Now, some of the details on that web page may not mean anything to them, like an APN or what it means to get electricity on the lot and things like that. Right now, they may not be ready for that. They feel good that they see that there's information there. It's kind of like, oh shit, that's something I didn't think about. I'm glad that this is there, but they're not ready to buy, so that information isn't important. However, if you have a little information about the area, about what property ownership can mean, about what that property can do for them, so they start to paint the picture in their own mind of what property ownership is, it gets them excited. It gets them really think like, you know what? I can see myself doing this. Once they see themselves as property owners, then they can take that next step. Now, what if they're already past that part? They're like, yeah, I know I can own property. I'm just looking for the right thing for me. Well, for those people to ease their fears, you got to make sure that you're answering the questions that they're going to need to know most. Number one, can they really get to that property easily? Or do they got to get easements and things like that? Number two, getting power, water, sewage, permits, things like that. How difficult will that be? Can you actually point them in the right direction? I'm not saying you got to do the shit for them. That's for them to do. But can you actually help them understand where to get the information that they seek and any other things that won't take too much of your time, but will help them understand if that property is right for them? Maybe you also got to encourage them to actually go see the lot. Hey, man, go check it anytime. I know you can't take it with you. I'm not worried about you stealing it. Just go check it out. Nothing like boots on ground, right? You got to see if it's right for you. See the area feels right for you. Things like that will help them ease their fears, because if everything is go, 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 buy, 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 they're like, oh, so what's going on? Why is he so desperate for a sale? What's wrong with this property? It's going to turn people off. But if you're nonchalant, you're not committed to a sale, you're not thirsty for their business, and you're just trying to provide value, a lot more people will start to trust you a lot sooner, especially in that stage. Now, what if they're in that final stage, like, you know what, I'm ready to buy, I checked it out, I like it, it's between your lot and another lot, I can't afford both right now. Well, what do you do to ease their fears? Well, this is where you start talking about, hey, well, my process of transfer is pretty simple. I do X, Y, and Z. You don't have to do anything. I handle it all, and I keep you in every step of I keep you informed in every step of the process. When you do stuff like that, they feel a little better. When they need a little bit more proof, like, okay, well, I have some testimonials from past buyers. Or if you don't have testimonials, here's a pro tip, write this shit down. Here are the recorded deeds that I have from other people I've sold to in this area. So even if people don't want to give you a testimonial, they get nervous, they forget, if whatever it is, that's okay. This business is unique where you could be like, here, look, here's a screenshot of all the different deeds I've recorded of the different sales I've had. So let you know, I buy and sell a lot of property here. This goes well all the time. I'm a pro at this. And since I'm a small business owner, you're going to get that personal touch. And then a lot of times they're like, oh, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. And then you let them know like it's not only easy to do the transfer, but I take payments easily, credit, debit, PayPal, Zelle, Quick Pay, whatever. And that makes them feel good. But you see how I ease the fears right there? Every now and then too, I might have to add a video like, hey, this is how I do my title research. This is how I make sure that the title is clean. This is how I can guarantee you that the title is clean. This is how I can sell to you on a warranty deed. This is how I, buy property, and all that. So sometimes you'll have to do that as well, but you're just easing fears, letting people know, hey, you're okay. You're in good hands. Every now and then you will get someone that's like, I'm not comfortable buying online. And you try to let them know, it's like, well, you buy from Amazon all the time. Why is this different? In reality, it's not different, but in their mind, they make it different. Now, if you can successfully close the gap, then you have a good customer. If you can't, don't worry about it. There's going to be other people that's coming. Some people, they just don't want to do business a certain way. They'd rather pay a lot more to buy from a realtor than pay less and get the property faster than buying from a private owner. You can't help those people. They're not looking for the experience you provide, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their preferences. Just understand that. But for the most part, you see how I ease fears? Depending on where they are in their journey, will dictate what things I need to do to help them ease that fear. And then as we get closer to that finish line, not only do I work quickly to kind of make good on my promise, um, I keep them very informed of what's happening. So there's no reason to get nervous. There is no buyer's remorse. In fact, I just sold a property earlier today, same way. She sent me the money. She actually sent me a text 6 a.m. my time. It was 9 a.m. her time. Um, I'm like, all right, let's make sure I got everything correct. I did the paperwork. I went to the bank after I dropped my daughter off to preschool. Bingo, bango, bongo. The land is in her name before 11 a.m. That's how it works. All right, you guys got that? So far, if you're finding value out of these sales, I want to hear you say value in the comments. Whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching the replay, let me know. I can't tell what's going on right now because Facebook is acting stupid. And so it is what it is. So let me know if you're finding any value in this. All right, next, give the people what they want. Now, this is in the marketing side of things when you're making sales. First off, knowing the ad platform is going to be a big deal. Places like Zillow and landwise.com and other places where people buy property, they know what they're looking for. They searched to get to you. So there's no need to really sell them on the area in the ad. All you got to do is give them what they want. Where is it? Is it a good price? Or how much is it? Where is it? And then like, what can they do with the property? That's all they need. Now, when you say where is it, it can be an address, it can be GPS coordinates, whatever, right? I like to include the town, maybe some landmarks. So if I'm in, tiny town USA, like tiny town USA, close to big landmark that you understand USA, right? And, by how many miles. And I'll say GPS coordinates are here. This is the price I'm looking for. If you want to do owner financing, I could look for 3 payments of this. Call or text me. I'll sell them a warranty deed. That's it. That's it. Because again, when you're on a website that people are actually searching for your stuff, they know what they want. There's no need to overcomplicate things. Just give them what they need. Also, certain websites like Zillow, there's not a lot of space for ad copy. And if you try to squeeze a lot in there, it becomes a big wall of text in a small little area that you can't read. Ask me how I know. I used to think I was so damn clever, writing all these beautiful pages of ad copy and descriptive words, and I'm painting images in their minds. And it wasn't terrible, but it was, I thought it was okay. But when everything squished into a little ass box, ain't no one reading all that shit. Ain't no one cares. They know what they want. So I learned to give them what they want and get the fuck out the way. Let them do their thing. Let them do their research. And then as they contact me, guess what I'm doing? Easing their fears, right? Getting to know to a new individual, easing their fears. All right. Now, Here's the thing that you need to understand. You need to protect your time as a land investor. Not everybody who contacts you is going to be ready to buy. So that doesn't, we don't get on the phone with just anybody if possible. We try to give those who are at the earlier stages, who are just kind of getting used to the idea of owning property, or they're a little, they're kind of the in between stage. Like, I think I want this one, I'm not sure. We give them resources that we don't need our time, web pages, links to the county, things like that, phone numbers so they can call up anybody they need to call up for, like, how to get power, water, or whatever. That we don't need to worry about that. It is those people who are ready to go or close to ready to go that we need to talk to. They've seen the property or they're going to check out the property and they need a little instruction or how to get there and all that. That's good. Now, you can't always do that because some people just call you. But in general, if I try to find out early, hey, how serious are you about buying? And if they're not ready to make a buying decision after seeing the property, I get them off the phone ASAP. I do it gently. I do it gently. I'm not a dick about it. But I know it's a waste of both of our time. They're not ready to buy. Why pressure them? And if they're not going to buy, why waste my time on them? They can come to me. We can have that conversation when they're ready. So that's the second thing. Give people what they want. All right. The final piece, and I kind of went backwards, but I like this. I like that I went backwards. I went from talking to prospects to how you're marketing to now your strategy with marketing. Number three is be everywhere. All right. So that means advertising your property in all the platforms that you can. That makes sense. Sometimes you want to use Craigslist, for example, especially if you're in the state of Florida. I don't know, Florida loves Craigslist. It does very well for me in Florida. However, if your property is going to go for a couple $1 million, Craigslist may not be the best platform. Now, is it a bad thing to put it on there? No, of course not. Of course not. You just not. I'm just not going to expect a lot of traffic from a Craigslist post on a very high premium property. But maybe I put that premium property on LandWatch or Zillow or something like that, and I'll probably get a different type of buyer or a different type of traffic, because every traffic source has its own traffic or their own prospects, right? So Craigslist have their own type of people who like to use Craigslist. Zillow got people who like to use Zillow, and Trulia. They're kind of together. Landwatch, and they all have their own thing. So you never know what can happen, but you want to be everywhere so you can cast a wide net. As you cast that wide net, you're going to make sure that you can actually ease their fears, help them give the people what they want. You see how that works? All right. Now, your ad copy should match what you're selling. If you're selling a very cheap property, you don't need to have much. There's not much to it. Just let them know what they can do with it. Like, oh, yeah, you can't put an RV on this property. You can do this, you can do that. Things that they're going to care about, the people who want that type of property. If you're selling like this giant multi-acre in a property that has, lakes and streams and cattle and all sorts of shit like that, well, people are probably going to know that. Now you're going to have to kind of sell the area a little bit, or not the area, the property a little bit. Why this property is pretty nice. Make sure the price is good. But in general, it should match what you're selling. Premium property is probably going to have nicer pictures. You're probably not going to want to just get away with Google screenshots like I normally do. Maybe you could do what all the other land investors are doing, getting somebody to fly their drone out there to take aerial video and all that. I mean, for a big property, that makes sense. For a small property, it doesn't make any sense, especially if the property doesn't look nice. But if it looks nice, go ahead, get that drone footage. Get an actual photographer out there to take some pictures and things like that. That's going to really help sell the property, especially, again, high dollar ones deserve high dollar images and that type of not just images for like photos, but that image that places in mind that this is worth the price. All right. Um, Also offer a lot of value as you're everywhere. So you don't just be everywhere, just being just sell, sell, sell. I mean, of course you want to sell, but make sure that you look like you know what you're doing, and people who come to you aren't going to be shied away just because they're not ready to buy now. Again, easing their fears, things like that. All right. And one last thing about be everywhere, offline stuff, the old school stuff, it still kind of works. So what works very well, the property I just sold recently is a hybrid, which is definitely wasn't intentional. Neighbor letters, as in telling everybody who owns property next to the property you just purchased, let them know, like, hey, I just got a new property. Are you interested in buying? Do you want to extend your property line? Do you want to extend your wealth? A lot of people who already own property in the area, they know the value of the area. They're keen to buy something new there. And those who want to sell, like, oh shit, you're buying property there? I'll sell you mine. Now, sometimes when people do that, they're expecting to get that retail price because, like, well, you're selling your property for 3,000. Why won't you buy mine for 3,000? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. But there are plenty of people like, you know what? I don't care. Just get it off my hands. I'll sell it to you for 500 bucks. Sell it to somebody else. I don't care. I don't want to deal with it. But in general, neighbor letters work very well. The land I was just talking about, I actually gave a neighbor letter to that person, and I also had it on Craigslist. I sold a similar property to a person. Their friend was the person I owned. I sent the neighbor letter to. So it was a bit of a referral, and then the neighbor letter came, and yes, that was that. So I thought it was kind of neat, and a lot finally got sold. So I thought that was a happy ending. You can put a for sale sign on the property, so anybody that's going near the area, they can see the lots for sale, and newspaper classifieds. They're pretty cheap. They still work. I don't necessarily use them myself. My mentor does. So he swears by them when sometimes it's hard to move a property. So you have that option. All right. So I'm just about out of time. First off, let me know. Did you guys get any value out of this? Did I share something with you that you think you can implement right now? If not, then let me know what I can do. But I think this information is going to do you some good, in my opinion. I think you can start using this right now to really help your efforts to selling property because I have a feeling your property is sitting on a lot a little too long. It takes too long. You're dealing with customers you don't like, and you're not getting the amount of money you want. You're instead of choosing terms deals because that's what your portfolio requires, you're doing terms deals because that's the only way you can sell your property. I like cash. I want to have a big bunch of cash. I want to throw money in the air. I want to swim in it like Scrooge fucking McDuck. That's what I like to do. So that's the way I sell. That's why I'm okay selling with a little bit less, getting a little bit less, but getting it all sooner so I can make more deals more quickly and bigger deals. All right. Well, if you found value, go ahead and put value in the comments below. Again, whether you're watching live or watching replay, I don't know if this actually went through or not, but I'll make sure that I can, at the very least, put this replay up. And I really appreciate you guys giving me this time of day to help you guys with your land investing journey. It's your boy, Coach Vic. I am out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace